This dark history tarot reading is going to channel the energy of the Benoit family. The Benoit family consists of Chris Benoit, who is a 40-year-old Canadian professional wrestler who worked for WWE. He was living with his wife Nancy and their 7-year-old son, Daniel, in Fayetteville, Georgia, at the time of this murder-suicide. So Chris Benoit killed his wife, and the following day is said to have killed his son, and then even the next day finally killed himself. His wife and his son, so Nancy and Daniel, were both killed by asphyxiation. And Chris Benoit hung himself on a weight machine in their home's home gym. There have been many questions swirling around how this could possibly happen to such a loving and happy family. But there are also rumors that it wasn't always the perfect picture that we would see on the outside. So Chris and Nancy were both taking different drugs and alcohol throughout their relationship. And they would also engage in altercations, and they were known to fight quite often with each other throughout this relationship. But there was still a lot of love shared between all of these family members as well. So a lot of people are speculating with what happened here, thinking it's possible that Chris Benoit went on some type of steroid rage where he was angry due to his performance-enhancing drugs. Some people claim that this seemingly strange behavior from Chris was caused by a disease known as CTE, which is basically a form of brain damage that has been caused by multiple concussions. And still, there are some people out there as well who just don't believe that Chris Benoit could have done this to his wife and his son. And those few people actually believe that this was some type of triple homicide. So I decided to ask the tarot and get the answers from the Benoit family. When I get ready to do these readings, I actually kind of prepare myself over the course of days. So when I decide to do a reading on a particular case or on a particular person, then I like to just kind of be in their energy as much as possible. So I like to think about them a lot. And I like to look at their pictures and things like that. So a few days after I had been kind of focusing my attention on this Benoit family, I was in meditation just yesterday when I had a vision come through. And it started with Chris Benoit in my mind's eye, and he was right in front of my face. And he was looking pretty guilty and shameful, and he said, it was drug-induced rage. And then it kind of like faded into Nancy Benoit. And she was at first looking down, and then she looked up into my eyes and said, it was drug-induced rage. And then it faded out of Nancy, and then I saw Daniel. And Daniel had glasses on in the vision, and he was right in my face, but even closer than the other two parents. And Daniel said they both had drug-induced rage. And then that was it. That was the entire vision. It went away. So right away, I knew that the three of them are together on the other side. And so I decided that I wanted to channel all three of them together to do this tarot reading, to just receive some answers on why this could possibly happen to this little family. So tonight I'm going to light this candle in honor of Chris, Nancy, and Daniel Benoit, to channel their energy and to find out through the tarot and oracle cards what really happened in those few days that this horrible tragedy took place. All right, Benoit family, I invite you now to use me as a channel to tell your story. As long as this candle's lit, I am your channel. Okay. We're going to start by getting 3 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle 3 times, cut the deck, and draw a card. Social media will provide valuable clues. I think it's true. What we've already seen people talking about in the media are all of the possibilities of how this could have happened. So let's see what else. Let me get the next card. Already interviewed killer. Meaning we already know who the killer is. Obviously, in this situation, we do. We do know. All right, we'll get one more. It says killer is a predator who attacks a specific type of victim. And what I think that is just people who obviously are, how do I want to say it? They're unable to defend themselves against him. They're not only much smaller than him, but also in a position of trust, because this was his wife and his son that he ended up killing. All right, so now I'm going to draw 3 cards. I want to receive the energy of, really of Chris Benoit, the night that he killed his wife. Lots of anxiety taking place. Definitely a lot of mental conflict here. This is a card for Chris's energy. We have the Emperor. He was trying to be forceful with his authority over Nancy. And then we also have the Four of Swords. With all of the thoughts being so full of anxiety and panic almost, it seems there was no rest. I wonder if insomnia had something to do with this as well, like not getting enough sleep. But there was definitely some kind of power struggle involved in the energy of Chris Benoit at the time of this event. And now let's go ahead and pull 3 cards for Nancy as well. I wonder if you guys can hear the sirens. We have the 7 of Cups, and it's reversed. I feel like Nancy felt like she could never have what she really wanted. She felt like she could never focus on what it is that she really wanted. And it's almost like she did feel like she had everything when it came. She wasn't wanting when it came to like money. That's not it. She was wanting when it came to like emotions. I feel like she was definitely in the midst of making some big decision. She hadn't quite made that decision yet. I feel like she was still in the midst of making a big decision. Part of that decision could have had to do with money. Like at least part of her process. Part of her process of making the decision could have had to do with that. Okay, so now I'm going to pull 3 of the Deviant Moon, and we're just going to get it for the energy of both Chris and Nancy during the time of this event of Nancy's death. Again, we got now we have a 2 of Pentacles. Whereas before we had the 2 of Swords. So with the 2 of Pentacles, I feel like it's kind of, that decision is definitely a big decision, and it's throwing a huge imbalance into the physical security of not only the relationship, but just their general overall living situation. Their entire lives. Okay, so we also got the 10 of Pentacles. So I feel like both of them were trying to make all the right moves at all the right times. So all of these decisions that they're making were so much to do with moves. I just feel like all about, like, see how they're playing the game of chess. I just feel like all of these decisions that they're facing in their relationship is kind of being faced in a very calculated way. But it's like a way, it's basically a form, basically what I'm trying to say is, I feel like they're trying to use specific moves that were being made in a form of receiving justice. Whether they're using certain moves in a court of law against someone, or whatever the case may be, but in some way creating this balance or level playing field based on what moves are being made. So I feel like their relationship was all about making the right moves, trying to make the power moves that were just right. All right. So, what happened? Chris, why did you do this? The first two cards that came up were Affair and False Flag. Now, I didn't even really know about who this Chris Benoit person was at all before I was asked to do this reading. So, I do know that in the beginning, there was a fake affair between Chris Benoit and his current wife, Nancy. So, during their performance as actors in the wrestling, they had a fake affair. But after that fake affair that they had, it turned out to be a real affair in the end. So that's why I think we got the false flag with the affair. Because they ended up leaving their current spouses to be together after pretending. Oh my gosh, you guys. We just got the murder-suicide card. So for anyone out there doubting that it was a murder-suicide and thinking that it was a triple homicide is wrong. This was definitely a murder-suicide. Oh, that was too many. It's too many, but we'll take a quick look and I'll put him back. Underwater, Pizzagate, work, road, evil. I didn't think that was a message, though. Let's go to this side. Why did you do this? Caregiver. Okay. Yeah. So Nancy was like the caregiver of the whole home. Oh my God. Okay. We got caregiver and strangulation. And then the third one that fell out was this royalty card. I feel like the suicide part happened because I don't know if he really meant to kill her per se. He meant to kill her because he did it. He meant to kill Daniel. But I feel like it was almost like going too far with this strangulation. I feel like he actually thought that Nancy was high up like royalty. She was a good caregiver. She was the one that took care of everything. I feel like he held her on such a high pedestal. But why did you do this then? We got accident, runaway, no, and death. So yeah, I feel like I was just trying to say, it was like, no, this is stupid. This is an accident. I want to run away. I want to get out of this death that I've caused. I think the son, Daniel, was a form of cleanup, even. Like, cover up. Oh my gosh. Organized crime. Mind control. I feel like Daniel was definitely just a part of... He was trying to organize and cover up. And somehow tell us a certain narrative, right? I think that when he was first freaking out when Chris first did to his wife what he did, he began freaking out and trying to make it look like an organized more crime. And I feel like that just didn't really work out for him. Like, I think he couldn't handle this. But anyway, I think that he had to kill Daniel. He felt like that's what he had to do. I know he did not have to do that at all. He did not have to do any of this. But again, I really do think it was kind of a weird accident. Yeah, I got cover up, and then we got travel just now. Remember, I believe that they found out that they were dead because he was supposed to travel for work, to be in some, like, belts. He was going to win some title or something. He was going to win a big belt, I think. Anyway, he didn't make it, and that's how they found out. Do you have anything else you want to tell us about it? Okay. Commitment. And then the two that just fell out after that were denial and insatiable. So I feel like he really wanted this marriage to work. He wanted it to work with his wife. I don't know if she wanted it to continue or not at the time of this happening. But it turns out the reason for that was like this denial, not facing the truth in a certain situation. I believe the insatiable. I feel like that this is talking about like the drugs that are involved, possibly. Is this about the drugs? Oh, okay. Lost, ghosted, blocked, cut off, and then intervention, rescue, others involved. So what this denial could be talking about, and this insatiable card as well, is the marriage to his wife. I feel like he wanted, because I don't know, we got the lost with the, that one says ghosted, blocked, cut off. And then intervention, rescue, others involved. Maybe that night she had said something that he definitely didn't want to hear, and that's what made this event actually take place. So I'm going to drop. That was too many. Make sure I got them all. Oh, wow. Someone's playing really loud bass. I think we pretty much did get all of the answers here. Unless any other messages want to come out from Chris, Nancy, Daniel. Final message. As I was shuffling for a final message. They want us to know that God is good. So yeah, this unfortunate tragedy had to do with some choice that was being made that was throwing some kind of imbalance into this relationship, into these people's lives. It was definitely a murder-suicide. He saw her as someone that was a caregiver for the family. He saw her as someone in high regard. It was a strangulation. Remember, then it was like an accident, a sense of wanting to run away, denial. Yeah. And then, of course, we have the cover-up, organized crime, mind control, trying to create a particular narrative and having to set up the rest of it to look a certain way. I don't know. But this is a tragedy, a horrible tragedy. The killer is a predator. Let's see, our first three were that the killer is a predator who stalks certain type of prey or victim. So the reason he was even able to do this was because of, you know, his size and his sense of authority over these people. We also got this card, the Emperor. I feel like he was definitely using his authority in this situation, being the father and husband. We already know who the killer is. Killer's already interviewed. Killer's already dead. Yeah. And then, of course, social media provides answers. Basically, the story, we didn't get anything saying that there was propaganda or fake news involved. And false flag, the only false flag card we got came out with affair, which is true because they had the fake affair, which then led to the real affair, which then led to the very real marriage and the child and the subsequent tragedy that we're discussing here. So take a moment, send light and love to all of the families of these victims, the people left behind. They need our blessings and prayers. Now, thank you to Chris, Nancy, and Daniel Benoit for being with me here tonight to give us insight on what happened over the course of the event, the tragic event that took place. So thank you for being here. And now I release you to be sent back to the energy from where you came. And I'm closing myself as the channel now. Goodbye.